rocking my boat.
Court is in session with Ryan in Sacktown on If You Don't Like That. Now, Ryan in Sacktown.
Oh, must be Rhino.
Go Stockton! Go Stockton!
How about them Stockton Kings? G League champions.
Go Stockton!
Champagne still flying everywhere from a big victory last night. That was the scene from the locker room. This was a team of destiny. It's why I came on the show yesterday. I'm like, they're winning this title. There's just no way that they are not winning this one. And it was such an interesting game. If you watched through 3 quarters, you're like, all right, this is getting away from them. But if you've watched Stockton all year, you're like, okay, they're in striking distance. They're where they want to be. And they start making their run. And then Mason Jones goes down. He goes down to the point where he needed help off the court. He could not walk. And the Stockton Kings end up finishing it off with a 45-point fourth quarter in Orlando, a place where they had not won all season. Now, the caveat there is the first 2 meetings, the Stockton Kings didn't have many of their guys. In fact, most of the two-way guys were not with the team for those meetings. This game, they flew IJ in, which I thought threw them a little bit of a wrench. I think it made things difficult in the first few quarters because they've stuck to Coach Crawford, a really tight rotation. And it made him play the rotations a little bit different, which probably threw the players off a tiny bit. But all in all, Stockton.
Go Stockton!
You have a G League championship. A part of the Kings can call themselves champions. And how about the story with Mason Jones? We'll talk about it too. And by the way, if you paid attention to my X feed last night, Vivek went Vivek. So I've got something for Vivek and his entire Kings row of B-list celebrities that we put together yesterday. We might need to fill an entire arena for this guy, but want to keep the focus on all the good stuff. And oh yeah, we've got the play-in. Got that to get ready for. We're going to watch some film on the March 2nd or March 3rd matchup between Dallas and Sacramento, because I think it gives us the most to pick at and the most to see what works, what doesn't work. That's also the game that Kyrie Irving went down. So we'll get into that. We've got audio from Kings practice. It is wrapped up for the day. We've got Coach Christie, DeMar DeRozan, and of course you. It is a tight ship today. We have a hard out at 3:30. So if you want to get in on the show, you got to get in now. 3:30, the show is off. So get your chats in. You can call the show using the link right here that is in the chat. You can scan the QR code as well. We recap Stockton's victory and get you ready for tomorrow night. Kings and the Mavericks. Courts in session on a Tuesday.
Lights on the screen, hey, it's Grant and Ryan. We bleed purple, talking hoops, never lying. Sacramento Kings, we rise and we fall. If you don't like that, then you don't know ball. Jerry sitting with the stories of the game, spilling all the truth, driving legends insane. From the Cow Palace days to Arco's roar, this town's heart beats on the hardwood floor. If you don't like that, turn away now. Kings and all.
And welcome back in. Ryan in Sacktown with you. It's a beautiful Tuesday here in the King's Court, wherever you are. Hope you're well. Thanks for letting me into your ears, your offices, your homes. Really appreciate that. A lot to go over. Busy day here in Sacramento and Stockton. Also, some newsworthy things have happened in the NBA that we're going to hit in the next hour, hour and a half. Like I said, we have a hard out today at 1 or at 2:30, 3:30, excuse me. 3:30 is our hard out. So if you want to call the show now. We are talking about the Stockton Kings.
Go Stockton!
That is your G League Finals MVP, Mason Jones, right there, yelling, "Go Stockton!" Isn't it funny how like the Kings bandwagon jumped on as soon as this team won a championship? I love it. But finally, at least Stockton is getting the attention and respect it deserves. And it's getting the disrespect that you knew was coming. You knew that disrespect was coming. We're going to hit both sides of it. So main story, obviously them, but we're also getting you ready for the Kings and the Mavs, a really difficult one to kind of predict which way it's going to go because both of these teams are so dramatically different now. They're so different. You didn't have AD in the last time that they played. Obviously, no Fox. Big guys were down for Dallas. But I still think the same formula remains for Dallas. I just wonder how much they're going to play through Anthony Davis. That, to me, is the wild card. It seems like you're going to play through him. But if you're playing through him, does that take away what I think is a clear advantage for Dallas? We'll talk about it as the show goes along. As I said, G League champions, huge congratulations to Coach Q down there, to the entire team, Gabriel Harris. Could not be happier. All of the people that work in the organization, the fans, there are some hardcore loyal fans down in Stockton that support that team. In fact, I was talking with this lady that I met in the lounge. Her name's Lindsay. We met at the Western Conference Finals, and she's a lifelong Stockton resident. And whatever team comes through Stockton, they support. And I thought that was really cool. She kind of laid it out for me. She got season tickets to the Ports, to the Kings. So a very cool, loyal fan base down there. And by the way, the first championship under the Kings umbrella while in Sacramento. I guess you could say the Monarchs had a championship too, but when it comes to the men, this is your first one. So anyways, we're going to get to that. Well, that wasn't a tweet. That was an Instagram post from Vivek Ranadive. Looks pretty benign until you start reading what's in there. And it set me off last night. Now, I shouldn't have been set off. I should have been expecting something like that. That's who he is. That is Vivek in a nutshell, but timing poor. Like, you've got to be kidding me. And after going through what the Kings went through with the Fox trade, the firing of Mike Brown, Sam Amick's article, wouldn't you think you'd want to lay low with the nepotism? Nope. We're going to double down on it. So we'll get to Vivek here in a few minutes. I don't want it to overshadow the victory. Play in tomorrow for the Kings. Are you going to the game? Is it hard to get tickets? Sounds like it's going to be a fun atmosphere. As I said, I am happy for the fans to get at least one game here at the G1C. Now, Kings, not a great home team, but the better news is the Mavericks are a worst away team. So we're going to break that one down as the day goes along. Really weird situation today in Dallas with Nico Harrison in management. You know, they haven't had a press conference since the Luka trade, and understandably so. How do you have that press conference? Like, if there was ever a time that you could imagine bananas and tomatoes and shoes being thrown at the stage, it probably would have been at that press conference. But here's what they did. They ended up getting a small group of media that covers the team either locally or nationally. They brought them into a room They told them no cell phones, no recording devices. We'll sit down and have a round table. You can ask us anything you want, but you can't record it. You can't bring your camera. So details coming out of that meeting were starting to leak out almost immediately upon its ending. We'll talk about what Nico Harrison said. I will give you this little crumb. Anytime he was asked reportedly about the Luka trade, he responded in some form or fashion with this: I believe defense wins championships. Interesting. Very interesting. Thought this was a cool moment by the San Antonio Spurs. Season's over, but two of those guys, one we know very well, Harrison Barnes, no shock that he played 82 games, but look at what the Spurs did for their guys that played all 82. And Chris Paul, he played 82 games? Holy bleep. But what a cool moment. That is a good organization. That is how you recognize your players. I thought that was really cool. That it's the little things, right? These guys are millionaires. These guys are billionaires. Yeah, you go out and score 30, you get a slap on the back, but the little things like that is recognizing the effort that these guys put in behind the scenes to keep their bodies right. That's recognizing the leadership that they are displaying. They are leading from the front. And that is saying, hey, all those times that you're working when nobody's watching, we were watching, and now we're going to recognize you for it. So I thought that was really, really cool. Let me know what you think about that. Play-in starts tonight. Golden State and Memphis. From Golden State, Moody has been downgraded to questionable with a back injury. He was part of the starting five that went 14-0 and only, ended up going 14-0 for a period of time after the All-Star break since the Jimmy Butler trade. So he's an important part. What that would mean is probably a little bit more minutes for Kuminga, but you hope he can give it a go. And if you are a Kings fan, which most of you are that are tuning in right now, you are hoping for the Memphis Grizzlies to lose that game. Your best route to getting into the playoffs is beating Dallas at home and going to Memphis and hopefully beating them. Here's the play-in schedule. We've gone over it ad nauseum. Kings play Wednesday. Should they win, the next game would be Friday, so a rather quick turnaround. Playoff picture in the Western Conference and playoff picture in the NBA, all laid out for you. All right, have I given you enough to talk about? Let's hear from you. What's going on this Tuesday? What do you want to talk about? Did you watch the Stockton game last night? What did you think of it? Are you going to start paying more attention to Stockton? Justin, first comment of the day. How can I send a voice memo? You can do that by leaving a voicemail at this number, 916-822-9485. Leave a voicemail there. Best ones make it to the air. In fact, we had one that went legendary earlier this season. So I'm not going to recap that one, but you all know who I'm talking about. I forget his name off the top of I think it was Charlie. Charlie, man. He summarized everybody's feelings after that losing streak pretty darn well. So anyways, Furious, what's up, man? Hope you're doing well. Thanks for being here, Tristan. Tristan, I thought about it, man. I asked my wife, I'm like, do you think the backwards hat? And I didn't ask her today. This was like a conversation maybe, I don't know, 2 months ago. It was a Friday. Our show's here a little bit more casual on Friday. I'm like, honey, do you think a backwards hat would be unprofessional? And she's like, yes. Like before I could even finish saying yes. So I so badly want to wear my King's corduroy backwards hat, but I can't do it here. Maybe in Stockton I'll do it. What's up, Nick? Excited for tomorrow's game. Same time, I don't know. Yeah, you're going to be the second game tomorrow. You'll be a 7 o'clock tip, I believe. Let's see. Tay, what's up? Let's go. Let's go, Stockton.
Go Stockton!
Proud of the team in the city. Mars, Sabonis is a bad contract. We can talk about that. Well, it's certainly something we're going to be talking about as the offseason moves along. I've been on the record saying I think there is some heartburn over that contract. Mars parade in Stockton. We will see. You think they're going to do a parade?
Go Stockton!
I think they'll definitely recognize the team at the play-in, but we'll see. Justin, good afternoon. Jake, yes, it's going to be tough. I was saying what's up, Patrick? Bring back both Joneses for the play-in before the injury. You couldn't have brought back Mason Jones because he's a two-way guy. They're not eligible to play in the play-in or the playoffs. The Kings would have had to sign him to a full-time contract, which went to Terrence Davis. So that was not going to happen, but so happy for Mason. In fact, we're going to talk about him in depth later in the show. Jake, what's up, dude? Thanks for being here. I'm not a champ, but they're champs, and I am so happy for them. Sam, I am not sure. As of right now, I have heard nothing about a parade. Haunted Horse is in the house. It's been 26 hours and 43 minutes since Ryan said, I will call you back in 20 minutes. That is true. That's a true statement.
That's terrible.
It's a very true statement. But to be fair, I had the little one in the car. So how much can we really dig into with the little one in the car? Minecraft? You want to talk about that movie that we saw, Horse? I mean, you are not exactly PG, Haunted Horse. Some of the stuff that my son has learned, I'm pretty sure has come from you, my man.
So I'm making a point that I'm really far in the rear.
So I got to make sure that he is nowhere around when I call you back. But welcome to the party, pal.
Welcome to the party, pal.
A lot of talk and love for Sabonis. Love Sabonis. That was a fun game. Honestly, it was. Love Coach Q. Hey, Coach Q had a difficult job last night. I'm telling you. I think I tweeted it out because I was live tweeting the game. I said the rotation is throwing some of these guys off because Coach Q ran a tight 8-man rotation. I don't even think Brian Bowen got into the game last night. If he did, it was only for a few minutes. But the same thing with Chase and Randall. I see IJ, even having IJ on the floor, threw some stuff off for Mason, I think. But ultimately, that double big lineup, Orlando just could not deal with it. The Kings were their own worst enemies during that game. They were turning the ball over, and I think it was just lack of familiarity. They were running different sets that were more around Isaac. And it was Mace didn't have a point in the first quarter. He had 5 assists, though. And he was still contributing. And then once he got it going, got the injury, but all is good and well. He was walking after that. Tristan, raise the banner, y'all. And then the midseason, yeah, right? Like the Lakers. Tay, what's up, man? If the Kings end up facing the Warriors in the second playing game, if the Kings win, would that indicate the Kings had more success than the Warriors franchise the last 2 years? Man, that's a loaded question, Tay. I don't know. Did the Kings run off 14-0 at any part? I don't know, Tay. That's a good question. Let's marinate on that. Yeah, all the credit to Angeli for setting the path, right? Well, I've got the path for you. We're going to go over that. That just absolutely, while it shouldn't have, it knocked me on my keister. Like, I wanted to throw my phone, not because I was upset at Vivek. I wanted to throw my phone because I knew how upset it was going to make a lot of this fan base if they saw it. Because that's not somebody that is actively trying to put out a fire. That's somebody that is actively throwing gasoline on the fire. Like, dude just raised the prices to the circus. He's saying, I don't care. Write what you want. I'm going to do what I want. I mean, Sam Amick's article, while it really went up to the line, and I respect the hell out of Sam for that, heck out of Sam for that, like, for Vivek to double. Anyways, we're going to, and to not recognize, by the way, Vivek, who Angeli was the assistant GM, my man. Maybe you don't know that. Assistant GM. You know who else was the assistant GM? Gabriel Harris. You know who else is the acting GM right now? Gabriel Harris. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Would it have become too much to light the beam last night for the Stockton Kings? No. I think that would have been very appropriate, actually. I think that would have been super appropriate. All right, we're going to keep going through some of your chats. Let's hear from Coach Christie. Practice wrapped up just a little bit ago. Here's Doug Christie.
Last time you touched the golf course? Before I took the job of coaching.
Does that worry you?
Not at all. I'd rather be good at coaching than golfing. Yeah.
I know you don't want to think about golf at this time like this, but I mean, just when you think about just what lies ahead for you guys and so much uncertainty, you've been in plenty of win or go home moments. How do you feel like that scenario plays for your team?
I mean, more than anything, I think you embrace the moment and enjoy it. Like, you know, because if you don't, all the other things, they're go against you. It's the ability to get stiff and tight and all these things that we're not about. So I want them to have fun, be serious about what we're doing, pay attention to detail, all those different things, but at the same time, come out here and have fun, put on the show.
Speaking of, you have postseason experience as a coach, but even as a player, how much do you draw back on those previous experiences when you were playing and try to implement different things that helped you with this group?
I think a lot of that comes into play because if players haven't experienced it, you talk to them about it. Certain scenarios you talk about. So all that different stuff comes into play. Sometimes, like practice-wise, you might understand how it comes into play. During the game, you don't really know when and how it's going to come into play sometimes. It's just little things that you might see and you're able to help one of your players with. And then even teammate to teammate, encourage them to, if you've been in moments before, explain to them the value of it and valuing the basketball and all those different things. It's all those experiences. This is what it's all about.
This is like one of those instances where, like Jay Crowder, for example, a lot of playoff experience, kind of lean on those guys to try to share with his teammates.
Definitely. You talk to a guy who has a lot of experience because those moments inside of them, you're trying to do the right thing. They can become big in the moment, but then when you break it down, it's just basketball. So you just want to, are there some different things that I should look for, different cues and stuff? And that's really the type of stuff that you're sharing with the players. But at the same time, when it goes peer to peer, it is always big. It's always big.
Now, as a player, you had the luxury of playing in front of these fans in Sacramento throughout all your postseason runs. How big do you think these fans are going to be tomorrow, and how much do you feel that's going to energize and, really set the tone for this team?
Well, I don't think, a few players have been here, but Sacramento postseason basketball is a different animal. It's a lot of places get credit for a lot of things that started right here in Sacramento, in my opinion. I had never experienced anything quite like it. I've been to finals games. I've watched them on TV, and nothing was like that. So I'm hoping that they come out. I wouldn't expect anything less and turn the hell up. So it should be a really, really fun environment.
Yeah, that's credit to you. You guys do pick it up a notch when it's a big game, when it's the playoffs, and it's not because you're paying, the play in. It's not because you're paying a higher ticket price. It's because you just bring it. And I agree with Doug. I think a lot of what has happened in Sacramento back in 2000, 2002, 2004. I think that has influenced a lot of other fan bases and teams to a degree. So a really good question here, or a really good statement. Sabonis made his name here. Bad move to leave. Did Sabonis make his name here? Well, how many All-Star appearances did he have with the Pacers? That's the first thing I'm going to look at. The second thing I'm going to propose is if we say he made his name in Sacramento, I think we also need to acknowledge that Sacramento, somewhat the system that they instituted, the system that they continued to jam down everyone's throat. By the way, Mike Brown reportedly will be a candidate for the Phoenix Suns job. Throw that in there. So double pay if you're Mike Brown, and you get to be in the Western Conference. Heck, you get to be in the Pacific Division with the Kings. Anyways, getting back to Sabonis, I don't think the system has done Sabonis any favors. Now, the system, the Beam Team year, made him look like a champ, right? But the Kings never adjusted the system after that. It was the same old thing. And in some ways, I think it exposed the differences. And I know there is a gap between Nikola Jokic and Domantas Sabonis. Any logical basketball fan can see that in the numbers, in the play, the impact on the team. They're different players. Now, are there similarities in their game? Yes. But what is the NBA? It's a copycat league. You're looking for something similar to a Jokic. Dude's taken his team to a championship. He's won multiple MVPs. And so a lot of the conversation was, is Sabonis kind of like Jokic, right? Is he Jokic Jr.? And with the lack of adjustment here in Sacramento, I think for as many good things about the reliability, the toughness, the grit, the work ethic, the positive insecurity that he carries with him, those are all the great things that have made Sabonis a name. But with the lack of adjusting, it's also exposed that he can't really play the same game Jokic plays. He can't. And if you can't play that same game, or at least something very similar to it, then you're not going to be paid in that same neighborhood as those guys. You're not going to be valued the same as those guys. And so if you're looking to move Sabonis, and this is all premature, we've got months to talk about this in the offseason, I think teams now know, because of his time in Sacramento, what he can do and what he can't do. Now, does that put his value higher? Does it put it lower? That's for us to discuss. That's for the league to filter out. And so I think that is one of the more interesting dialogues that is going to be happening in this offseason, because I think it's a little bit of a niche market for him, just a little bit of a niche market. Tay hopping back in. Rhino, it's about the outcome. I think it just goes to show how competitive the West, no matter how much better the Warriors may have looked than the Kings. Well, and the Warriors have two of those guys that the Kings have never had. Steph Curry, and is Jimmy Butler one of those guys? That's a good question. Got to think about that. Jay Vlano, what's up, man? Ma'am, how about play Jay Crowder? How about new? There's no way. Jay Crowder, I will say this. He has been worth every penny of that contract behind the scenes to the young guys. He's kind of like a quasi coach on the end of the bench, kind of like Vince Carter was in his time in Sacramento. So I don't think there's much run and play there that you can get out of him. but I love what he brings. Talk only goes so far. He's still good in OKC, Indy. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. Sabonis can play 1 through 5. Vivek. Yes, right. Oh my gosh. Don't even get me started. So, speaking of Vivek and what we're talking about, the Stockton Kings, what a night last night for them in Osceola, a place where they had not won all season. If you watch the first couple quarters, did not look like it was going to happen for them. They were just a beat slow. And then Coach Crawford went to the double big lineup, which was Scal and Isaac Jones. And that caused a ton of problems for the Magic. The Magic are not a big team whatsoever. And you still got Dexter Dennis out there scrapping. In fact, there was a very good argument to be made that Dexter should have been the MVP of the finals. But you could just see Stockton hanging around. They were down by double digits at one point, and then the fourth quarter started, and it turned into Stockton's game. Not only did they go on a massive scoring run, they're knocking down their free throws, something they had struggled with previous to the fourth quarter, and they quit turning the ball over. You saw the belief building that they could win the basketball game, and then all of a sudden Mace goes down, and it didn't look good. It looked like more of a non-contact injury. It didn't look like his ankle rolled, and he was grabbing at the back of it. And I'm thinking Achilles. Oh my gosh, please don't be an Achilles for Mace Jones. Luckily, he was able to be out with the team on the bench once the game was over, and he seemed to be walking okay. So hopefully that calms some of the worries there. But here was the last few seconds leading up to the Stockton Championship.
But also on the defensive end of the floor.
Final seconds coming off the clock. And the Kings have done it on the road here in Game 3, taking the 2025 G League title.
A total team effort by the Stockton Kings.
Bingo.
Everyone that played contributed.
Total team effort. That's what this team has been. They have been the definition of a team. Gabriel Harris talked about it. Coach Q talked about it. In fact, Coach Q after the game. And by the way, the cowbell that you hear, it's his son.
Execute all 15 guys on our roster. So it wasn't an option that we weren't going to end this thing. We just knew that we were going to walk it down last 6 minutes, and that's what we did.
What kind of impact did Isaac Jones make in this game?
Immediate impact. He's a tremendous player, great on the defensive glass, and that's what we really needed to limit their offensive rebound. So it was a great effort by him. Played really well. Happy for him.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Super happy for him. And here's the other thing, too. Coach Q, Gabriel Harris, it wasn't like over excitement. It wasn't like it was something unexpected. The way they've carried themselves all season, they knew what they had. That's a GM and a coach that were completely on the same page together. Same thing when Gabe was asked a few questions after the game, talks about the team.
Let's steal a question with you. This group, Stockton in the regular season the last 3 years, claimed the #1 seed. But what was it about this group, this compilation of players that got it done in the playoffs?
We joked about it all year. This team liked playing with each other more than any team I've ever been around. And I think that really showed through this last series. They played together. They stuck together through the ups and downs, adversity, and they came out on top.
They sure did, delivering Stockton their first championship in this organization's first championship. Mason Jones named the MVP of the game.
League of Rising Stars in this series, this season, the rising star, our most outstanding player, Mason Jones.
Mason Jones.
Okay, so did you catch that back part? Mike Ditka. Hang on to that. Keep that in the back of your head. Yes, that Mike Ditka.
One for these kids, I would whip your butt. I can take a punch. I'm out of here. Bye-bye. I'll see you, Mr. Big Time Coach. Bye-bye. I'm not like my old man. I'm a kind and gentle, compassionate human being with a heart as big as a lion. We'll see you later, Juice Box. Everyone wave goodbye to Juice.
Yes, that Mike Ditka, Duck Bears. For those that don't know, Mace was traded here last year. Mace had bounced around the G League. He played for Osceola. In fact, he played in the same backcourt as Mac McClung one year when Mac was a rookie. Mace came to Sacramento and he was motivated. His energy was just different. There's one thing about guys being leaders with their words, and there's another thing about guys being leaders with their actions. Mason Jones never asked his teammates to do anything he was not already doing, including putting in the work behind the scenes on himself. By the way, this is a dude that's also pursuing an MBA right now, concurrently to playing G League and NBA basketball. This is a picture from Mason last year. You remember the bleach chair? But look at his body. He knew he was going to have to change his body so it could hold up through an entire G League and NBA season. He knew he needed to change his body to be quicker, working with the guys that he was working with down in Stockton. And boy, oh boy, did Mace put in the work. If you follow Mace on Instagram, dude's doing hot yoga. He's doing recovery. He is, and not talking about when it like matters in the playoffs, when it doesn't matter, when like 500 people are going to a Stockton game. His energy was something that this organization, Mike Brown, even had to comment on it. When Mace would be on the bench with the Kings, it's like, I love this energy. Every time I see Mace, I say the same thing to him. I say, your energy is freaking contagious. And it is. So for Mace to be able to lead this team along with Scal to this championship and along with all these guys, I don't want to just put it all on Mace. This was truly a team thing. And so Mace in the locker room, those that don't know, I told you to hang on to the Mike Ditka thing. The guys would always call him Mike Ditka throughout the season. They had their little inside reasons for it, but Mace was kind of a a-hole at times, pushing guys, being real, like not holding back. And in some ways, those can be your best teammates. Here was Mace in the locker room.
We won the game, but we made history. That's the biggest thing, man. That's the biggest thing. They call me Mike Dicker. Hey, hold on. Let me get y'all reason. Hey, they call me Mike Dicker. Yes, sir. Because I push them hard every day. And some days they'll fight me back. Some days they'll be like, why you on me so hard? Because times like this. And now, I was on IC ass all year. He come through the last 2 games. I was on TT ass all year. He came through all year. I was on Dick's ass all year. That nigga came through all year. And what are we on? We champs. Let's go on.
Go Stockton!
What a moment for them. So incredibly excited for them. It's a big deal It is a big deal. You know why it's a big deal? A lot of you that may be watching this, it's like, why are you giving the G League and the Stockton Kings so much run? Like, why have you paid so much attention to them over the last 2 years? Here's why. This new CBA that is in place right now, it puts a premium on player development and scouting and drafting. So again, the back end of that, scouting. Keon Ellis, undrafted, recognized, identified by this organization. And I get Monty and the Sacramento front office plays into it as well. But ultimately, those guys are being developed down in Stockton by the right coaches, the right personnel, everybody on the same page. Isaac Jones, undrafted, identified. Stockton has, well, now they have the best G League team. They are the G League champions. And this wasn't just a fluke 1-year run. They were in the Western Conference Finals last year. So what I'm saying is if you have to list G League affiliates in order that do it the best, that are the most cohesive units, that are developing talent at a high level, and that are turning out a consistent and winning product, Stockton is near the top of the list. And with this new CBA, the most important thing for a small market team is to have a strong developmental system. And you've got it. You have a bright future when it comes to that side of things. In fact, we talk about these Kings vacancies, right? Is Doug going to be the coach? Is Monty going to be the GM? Okay? I'm not saying Quentin Crawford should be jumping up to be the Kings' next head coach, but I'm certainly saying there should be some conversation about Quentin Crawford and what he's capable of and what he did with this team. He took over a team from the reigning G League Coach of the Year, and Gabriel Harris tweaked that team. Jalen Slauson, who was a big part of last year's team, gone, out of here. In fact, plays for Orlando. I questioned that move. Gabe knew. He knew there was a reason before it. Boogie Ellis, traded this year. That was a name a lot of you liked. Drew Timme, traded this year. It was strategic. They knew what they were doing. And Vivek wasn't paying any attention to it. None whatsoever. They got to operate with autonomy. So when it comes to looking at the next GM of the Kings, again, I'm not saying Gabriel Harris should be the next GM, but what I am saying is you have the highest level. Like we talk about Oklahoma City and Sam Presti and what they're doing in the NBA. You've got a similar thing going on in the G League. Now, that's at a lower level. Obviously, a much bigger jump to the NBA, but you have a GM and a coach that are connected on the same page, that has a team that has completely bought in to what they do and knows their roles, and they do it well, and they play for each other. Isn't that all we're asking for here in Sacramento? So why not throw Gabe's name into the hat if you're going to look at a new GM? Now, I highly doubt that he would get the job, but pay attention to what Gabriel Harris starts doing. Pay attention to what Quentin Crawford starts doing, because those two are so key to what's going on down there. Now, as for Vivek Ranadive, said there was something that really rubbed me the wrong way. Here's what rubbed me the wrong way. After the Stockton Kings won, Vivek Ranadive put out this Instagram post. Congratulations to our 24-25 at NBA G League champion Stockton the Kings. Thanks to at Nani for setting us on this path. Nani is Angeli. Angeli was a couple of seats down from me at the Western Conference game. Or was it the semis? It was the semis. She was a couple seats down from me. No, it was the Western Conference Finals. Excuse me. Anyways, during this playoff run, she was sitting courtside to watch this team. What's up, Flores? How you doing? What's up, PK? Habitual line stepper. Oh, good stuff here. Heck yes. Go welcome them. That's why, you know what? Maybe that's why we have a hard out. You'll never know, Dennis. You'll never know. Anyways, do you get why this is a little bit troublesome? Like, I'm not upset that you didn't acknowledge Gabe. I'm not upset that you didn't acknowledge Coach Q, Mace, the team. I'm upset that it confirms everything that we have been hearing. Let's go through some dates. Angeli named the assistant GM of the Stockton Kings, May 18th, 2022. November 20th, 2023. Chance Comanche and his girlfriend arrested for conspiring to and murdering someone. January 19th, 2024. Angeli resigns. Angeli resigns to go focus on her non-profit. All the while, assistant GM. You know the other part of that assistant? That's Gabriel Harris. I have no way of knowing what the two of them did together. I have no way of knowing who really ran the show. I haven't asked Gabe about that. But to put the credit on Angeli when Gabe really built this thing out, Gabe finds Coach Q. All it does is verifies that this dude, Vivek, is that dude that we are all terrified, all sick to our stomachs about. I take you back to Sam Amick's article. Remember the one right before De'Aaron Fox came in? Vivek greenlit the decision while on vacation in Cabo. He was there with Angeli and Jeremy Lamb, the 10-year retired NBA pro who initially joined the Kings organization as part of the Domantas Sabonis trade in February. By the way, Jeremy Lamb was playing for the Stockton Kings while Angeli was the GM, assistant GM, whose relationship with the owner's daughter became public knowledge last October. Angeli, who was once an aspiring pop star who would sometimes perform at Kings games, was hired as assistant general manager of the G League affiliate, the Stockton Kings, in May of 2022. In May of 2023, she was elevated to the team's GM position. Lamb was a player on the team during that time, but her 6-month tenure in that role was marked by a tragic accident. As one of Stockton's players, Chance Comanche was arrested and later charged with murder of a 23-year-old woman, allegedly took place during a team road trip to Las Vegas. Trial date is set for this month. Angeli stepped down as GM less than a month later on January 19th, 2024. Quote, to pursue a PhD and focus her attention on her nonprofit Jaws and Paws, a team statement read. But Angeli still appeared to have influence throughout Sacramento's organization as she and Lamb became a more visible part of the Kings' decision-making tree earlier this season. They were often spotted courtside next to Vivek in proverbial power seats at games, and they were believed by many within the organization to be gaining growing influence in the bigger picture path forward. Quote, we're all going to be working for Jeremy Lamb soon enough, end quote. One Kings employee joked to The Athletic at the time. Lamb no longer appears to be in the loop, but he was during those final weeks of the Brown era, and sources said Fox was one of many aware of the complicated and constantly shifting dynamics up top. All the while, he was contemplating his long-term decision with the franchise. You are thanking her for setting the Stockton Kings on this path. Vivek, if you're going to thank her for setting the Stockton Kings on this path, then where's the apology for setting the Stockton Kings on the path where somebody lost their life to a player on her watch on a team road trip, Vivek? Do you see the problem here? This dude only sees one side of the aisle. Your laundry is out there and exposed. And you're still doubling down on what's going on. You're doubling down on the biggest worries that Kings fans have. What was the one question so many of you were asking? You asked Grant this. You've asked me this. You've said, if Monty gets fired, is Angeli possibly in the running for GM? I don't know. I sure as heck hope not. Logically, the NBA would laugh at us. But hell, the NBA is already laughing at us as a franchise. So the fact that you are publicly giving her credit for setting this franchise on this path to this championship, what's the reasoning behind that, Vivek? Are you setting this fan base up for something else? Credit to Nani for setting them on this path. Unbelievable. Vivek finds a way in everything. In fact, my man John Calipari, who has been rumored to have been in Vivek's ear at some point and giving advice to this franchise, he sums situations like this up pretty well. Vivek, you are the poop in my ice cream. Yes, I just said it. You are the poop in my ice cream. You are the poop in the Stockton Kings championship ice cream. I'll let John Calipari explain what that means.
There's a bucket of poop and there's a bucket of ice cream. You can put all the ice cream in that poop that you want. It doesn't change it. But one little pinch of that poop in that ice cream ruins that ice cream. And I'll tell a guy, you, my man, are the poop in our ice cream.
He's the poop in the ice cream. Just saying. I'm sorry. Not trying to make friends here. I'm trying to deliver the truth. So don't let it overshadow what the Stockton Kings have done. But it's just, again, John Calipari, one more time. Tell him again.
there's a bucket of poop and there's a bucket of ice cream, you can put all the ice cream in that poop that you want. It doesn't change it. But one little pinch of that poop in that ice cream ruins that ice cream. And I'll tell a guy, you, my man, are the poop in our ice cream.
Crazy. Dennis, thanks to my daughter for being away from the team so they could win. PK, thought we had a game tomorrow against the Mavs. We do, which we're going to go through. Team road trip. Yep. Dennis, remember that. Alex, quick shout out to Mason, Gabe Harris, and the entire Kings organization. But obviously, the real credit goes to Angeli. And that's the thing. It's not surprising. It's not surprising. It's disturbing. That's where I draw the line. It is not surprising. It is disturbing. If I had somebody as credible as Sam Amick put something like that out nationally, I would be doing everything I could to try to turn that perception around. To make sure that I'm not adding any more fuel to the fire. And by the way, when that article comes out, season ticket holders are being asked to renew their tickets when they have no idea what the direction of this team's going to be. They have no idea who's really running this team. You've lost Luke Laux. Wes Wilcox walks away. I would be doing damage control. But instead, Vivek's got his four-wheeler out there, and he's doing donuts on that narrative. He's shooting that narrative up with a big shot of steroids. It's incredible. Tristan, LOL. Kings fan since 85. Stockton and coach should be considered for promotion this offseason to the big club, Rhino. Great job. I agree. I'm just asking for consideration. Consideration. That's it. They deserve it. And it's not a small sample size. Quentin Crawford, small sample size, okay? He's only coached the team 1 year. But what Gabriel Harris has built down there, that's a larger sample size. Smart dude, too. Stanford graduate. He's played basketball. He played basketball at Stanford. Believe he's actually repped by Clutch as well. And a great dude, too. Gabriel Harris is an awesome guy. Very, very likable. Very easy to have a conversation with. Incredibly intelligent. You watch him during the games. So a lot of times when I'm down there, I'm watching the game, but I'm also watching the game within the game, right? Gabe's always on the move. Sometimes he'll be sitting in his seat. Other times he'll be walking the hallway. He gets it. You understand he sees the game at a different level and obviously understands how to build a team and how to find the right people to get the best out of that team. Now, if you want to make the argument that Angeli was responsible for the Lindsey Harding hire, okay, great. That's awesome. Okay, good hire. I will give you credit for that because a lot of the media did that. Credit to Angeli for hiring the first female head coach in the G League. She ends up being the G League Coach of the Year. She promotes and moves on to work for the Lakers. Great. But you know what's just as hard as that, or just as hard to find somebody like that, is to find somebody to fill that seat afterwards and have this team not miss a beat. I've got the transactions up. I could tell you everything that happened during Angeli's time and everything that's happened during Gabe's time. There's no need to. The championship speaks for itself. And if you want to give Angeli credit for it, it's a very narrow path, Vivek. Just say that. Very narrow path. And it's a path with a U-turn that you are not acknowledging. Yeah, and you know what? They did it again last night. Can you believe that they did it again last night?
The
ESPN.
airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now you're going to hear about it.
ESPN reran the pre-taped halftime show talking about Bronny James. Kidding me. Come on, ESPN. Ryan, we need a Jerry Jones sound drop. Al, I'm with you. The parallels when I was thinking about this topic and I was thinking about how Dallas is ran with Stephen Jones, it's a little troublesome.
I don't have time to have a bad time. It isn't on my schedule.
Crazy. Hell yeah. This one's for you, Easter.
Go Stockton!
209. Yep, the staff is outstanding. That coaching staff is excellent. They are awesome. So, yeah, I don't think she was at Stockton. Maybe, just maybe she should have a seat with Vivek. Just maybe. Is that on Vivek's schedule?
I don't have time to have a bad time.
Anyways, all I'm saying, congratulations to the Stockton Kings. Congratulations to the fans of the Stockton Kings. And congratulations to Gabe, Coach Q, the rest of the coaches. Give Gabe and give Coach Q a consideration if you're looking to take a different direction with the Sacramento Kings. All that I am saying. I can tell you one direction that will never take you to a bad place. That is Bennett's. Any three of their restaurants here in the greater Sacramento area, Rockland, Roseville, Howe, Fair Oaks, incredible prime cuts of seafood and steak. Shout out to my man, Matt, who was there for his birthday on Sunday. He sent me the pictures. He had the ribeye. It looked incredible. If you're not familiar with Bennett's, go to bennettsrestaurants.com. Check out all of their specials that they run, happy hour every day, 2 to 6 p.m. Also, get in on their weekend brunch, 11 to 2 p.m., all three locations, especially the Roseville and the Rockland this time of year. Sit on those beautiful patios, have brunch. You can get a bottle of champagne and 2 entrees for under $60. Heck of a deal. Also, weekend prime rib. I could go on and on about the specials, but the food is incredible. One of my favorites, the red fish, also the steak Cobb salad. Can't go wrong there. Our favorite place to go, Jerry and I, when we go out to lunch, and Grant, when he's in town, he pulls double days at Bennett's. So get to bennettsrestaurants.com. You can make reservations. Easter coming up. You might be too late for that one, but don't forget about Mother's Day. That's an important one. You don't want to be without that reservation. So go check them out. Again, 3 locations here in the greater Sacramento area. Huge thanks to Brian and the team over at Bennett's for sponsoring today's episode of the King's Court. That's Bennett's prime cuts of seafood and steak.
Yeet!
Yes, indeed. Yeet. How good does that look? Oh, man. Could get me some of that right now. All right, we have about 25 minutes of show left. So if you would like to call the show, now is the time. If you want to call, get in. If you would like to drop a comment, we can get to those as well. Certainly our other top story is the play-in, which is going to be happening tomorrow. Come tomorrow night, the Kings will know if they win who their opponent will be, because you've got the Warriors and the Grizzlies tonight squaring off in the play-in in San Francisco. Moody downgraded to questionable in that one. Doug Christie spoke to the media earlier. Let's listen to what else he had to say.
Watch that Memphis Golden State game tonight?
Yeah, I'm a basketball junkie, so I'll have it on, but I'll be working. So, you know, I have to make sure that I'm prepared for what we need to do. But most definitely, if basketball's on, most times I'm watching.
Having coached now, you know, Zach and DeMar are the same as teammates. Obviously, DeMar using as a point guard situation quite often. Do you notice differential from what they did in Chicago together compared to the way you're using him here?
A little bit. I think that when you look at our team, there's some talent here that they didn't have there. They had different type of talent. Voos is a little bit different. Big fella is a little bit different than what you get with Domas. Domas has the ability to DHO and a lot of different things that they didn't necessarily do there. But both of them, I think, are valuing the moment probably maybe a little different than they did there, especially with Debo. I think he understands, and he's trying to get his teammates to constantly understand what these moments mean, because even when I played, you never know when you're going to get them back, and it's truly important that you take advantage of them. With Zach, I think that he's understanding that as well. So a little bit, but at the same time, they're going to go out and hoop because they're hoopers. So I'm excited for both of them to experience this environment and hopefully thrive in it.
And then with AD, I think there's only 8 games that he's played with Dallas. Not a big sample size at all, but do you notice him being utilized different than when he was with the Lakers?
Well, with the Lakers, I think he played more 5 before they traded him. He played some 4. And kind of that's what he's experiencing there. So they have Lively and Gafford who play the 5. He plays the 4. When they sub him out, sometimes he is at the 5. So I think a little bit probably more 4 than he experienced with LA.
What changes with him at the 4?
Go Stockton!
A lot, man. Because he's a monster. Like he doesn't have to worry about battling with the big guys. Probably not in any pick and roll coverages. Rim protection is probably a bit different. He's just a problem, period. But when you start to take him and put him on smaller players, his advantage continues to escalate.
I wasn't here yesterday when I asked this question anyway, but how do you feel about being on the sideline for the first time in the postseason as a coach?
You won't know until you do it. I'm humbled and proud to be able to represent the Sacramento Kings and represent these guys because I love everything that they're about. Same with the Kings. This is for me. It's about trying to accomplish something that we got really close to as a player and as a team as a player on that team, but wasn't able to do it. So every opportunity to play in the postseason, I relish it in the highest regard, and obviously in front of our fans is ultimately incredible. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
That was Doug Christie from practice earlier today. The Kings have wrapped up practice and preparation. They'll have a shoot around tomorrow, most likely before the game, and it will be go time. From Doug Christie, we go to our habitual line stepper.
Step across the line
here in the Kings.
Habitually, he's a habitual line stepper.
PK, what's up, dude?
Man, hey, what's up, boy? Doing good, man. Is it just me, or is everyone else feeling the same way? I hate hearing what Doug Christie is saying as far as the play-in is concerned, because after watching this team this whole season, dude, I'm excited. I'm excited. I want to see them the a playoff game. If when they play well, I think in the series they might be fun to watch. But what he's saying is just I don't freaking even know what the hell he's saying, man. Do you get a vibe that he's saying it just gives me strange vibes as far as when I listen to him talk in these press conferences.
He speaks in hypotheticals. That's what he does. He talks about.
It's annoying though, man. I don't need any more hypotheticals. We already have a million hypotheticals because we watched every freaking game this season. So we know the hypotheticals that we've witnessed since freaking first 10 games.
Look, PK, I think I'm pretty confident in saying that Doug's strength is in motivating the team, and it's not in X's and O's. And that's okay.
So stupid.
That's okay. That's why you have a coaching staff. The difference is this wasn't Coach or Doug Christie's staff. This was Mike Brown's staff. So this would be the time if you're going to be doing something different, X's and O's wise, this should be coming from you, a lot of it. And instead it's more, if we can just give that incredible effort, then the byproduct's going to be winning. When in reality, you look at, and I don't have the stats in front of me, I can go back and try to compile them. This team seems like they have more turnovers and missed shots out of timeouts than they do baskets. And that, for me, is concerning. That should, a turnover or a shot clock violation out of a timeout should be like a once every couple games thing, and they're good for at least 2 of them a game, it feels like.
True. And also, if you think about it, before all the trades, I think we averaged I think we're like top 5 or 7 turnover team in the entire league to the point before we started made those changes. But I think mainly with Doug Christie now, what I'm seeing is, I guess he's molding me into like freaking losing my damn sanity.
Well, luckily for you, you don't have to play. So,
but ultimately, it's like, I think right now, within last 5 games, this is where you can see if Doug Christie is a coach or he's not going to be a good coach. And I think this is where we're gonna figure out if Doug Christie's worth a contract for next year. And I'm done.
All right, appreciate you. Yeah, it's all in the adjustments. It's all in the adjustments. And a great example is the playing against the Warriors last year. The Kings came out and they targeted mismatches. They knew where they wanted to get on the floor. I feel like too many times, and if we have Jerry on tomorrow, too many times the Kings are going to spots. Like if you're supposed to go screen somebody, they're going to the spot where they expect the player to be instead of reading the floor and understanding where that player is at. And it gets weird. It feels like there's not enough just natural basketball flow going. It's weird sometimes. So can the Kings make adjustments to that? We'll see. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Hopefully we don't get ripped down for this. I want to watch the highlights of the last time these two teams met on March 3rd. I think it's the most applicable. Even though there's no Anthony Davis, it is the game that Kyrie went down. So some of the stuff that bothered me, I went back and watched this game, and something that could carry over, which we've seen be a problem for the Kings, is dribble penetration. Dribble penetration has been a nightmare for the Kings defensively, to the point where a lot of times they're going into the drop, which means they're helping off their man, and that opens up the 3-point shot. So let's wind up these highlights and let's kind of go through what we see, and I'll give you some of my thoughts at what I'm looking at. First thing that I'm looking at is the Kings in this game are running a ton of pick and roll offensively. A ton of pick and roll. That's something that we have not seen a lot of, and we're not going to see a lot of because of Zach LaVine. Not having Malik Monk really hurts your ability to run the pick and roll. So if you look here, dribble penetration, bucket. You come back out here, Malik Monk, just nice step back 3. You're not going to have him, but you have guys that can probably make that shot for you at times. But Kyrie Irving, obviously you don't have to deal with him, but dribble penetration. Again, Zach LaVine, kick out, 3-pointer. DeMar Pure steps in for the 2. Transition. Can the Kings be better in transition? That's a big question. But see, again, and that was by Keon. Here's the other thing. I'm going to stop this really quick. What are you noticing about everything that we've seen so far from the Kings offense? It's towards the hoop. It's downhill. The Kings either play downhill or they don't. So that's another point that I am looking for. Let's bring in Mike Jammy. What's up, Mike?
Yeah, Ryan, what's up? Can you hear me?
I got you, brother.
All right. First off, shout out to the Stockton Kings. You know, but I wasn't able to watch the game, but I went to one of the Austin games, and I sat so close for cheap. I felt like it was a steal, like I owed them money. But, you know, with the Kings and the plan, I'm a little worried about Dallas and their bigs versus our bigs, because they seem to have 3 starting bigs. And Lively, of course, they have the star big, Anthony Davis, and I forget the other guy.
Gafford,
yeah. So I'm a little concerned about their bigs and our bigs. And they actually have a point guard, Spencer Dinwiddie, and I wish the Kings had him. But they actually have how do you think that's going to match up with just those positions in the play-in? Their bigs versus our bigs, and their guards versus our guards.
Yeah, I'll talk about it in a bit. I'm gonna take you off because I don't like that you're driving.
Okay.
Want
Yeah,
you to be
no,
safe.
I'm good. I'm good.
But I appreciate the call. I'll kind of talk about that in a second.
I'll call you guys later.
For sure. Thanks, Mike. So the Gafford stuff, the big stuff, the Kings are probably going to have to play a little bit of zone defense. There's no doubt about that. Thank you, Peter, by the way, for what you put up. The Kings are going to have to play some zone defense. That's certainly going to be the case. Also, they can't go into the drop, because that's what happened in one game against Dallas earlier this year. They went into the drop and they allowed Spencer Dinwiddie to run off like 11 in a row. And that's a guy that you don't want him getting hot. There's no reason that he should be beating you at this point. And he shouldn't be beating you off the bounce either, quite frankly. If you let him get going, you're going to have a problem. I just can't see a scenario where the Kings win if the Kings are letting Dinwiddie and Thompson and even Exum to a degree get open shots. So let's go back to this one as we're kind of breaking it down. You got the team stats from this one on the left-hand side as well. Again, dribble penetration, just killing the Kings. Everything offensively, though, I like downhill. See pick and roll right there. You get to the paint, you make the shot. But how much pick and roll? The Levine, I think something to point out, the Levine and DeRozan pick and roll is not the same as a DeMar and Valanciunas pick and roll. It's not. You guard it much differently. So how are the Kings going to be able to keep an up-tempo pace but find another way to score? I know they like their 4 action, but I just think the pick and roll, the lack of not having a great pick and roll combination this game is going to hurt. Here was the part where Kyrie got hurt as we continue going on through this one. Keegan being aggressive, I like that. But again, everything downhill. Here's the dribble play that I hated. Look at that. Straight out for the 3. That was Dante Exum. This is the type of play that terrifies me for Sacramento tomorrow. Right there. You give up that dribble baseline drive. And theoretically, by the way, even though Sabonis is coming over and helping in this situation, you already have help on this play. It's the end line right here. It's the baseline. That is by default a second guard because he can't step on it. He can't go beyond it. So the fact that Exum is able to tiptoe this thing by Lyles, that's a triple team. You've got Keon, the baseline, and Lyles. It's a triple team, and he is still able to make this pass right down the middle for a triple. That was one of the big plays that stuck out to me when I rewatched the game. Again, Klay Thompson penetrating. When has Klay Thompson penetrated this year? Not that much. So, but everything again for the Kings, it's downhill. So if the Kings don't get downhill last night or tomorrow night, that's going to be a little bit of a problem. And they are going to have to contend with some pick and roll. So that defense and that communication is going to have to be on point. But a play like this, that's one of your best defenders, by the way, Keon Ellis. It's just a bad closeout. This is just a bad closeout. Look at Keon's angle. Keon's coming out, and you close out not where the guy is at. You close out where you expect him to be. Now, the reason Keon is taking the high side here is because Keon wants him to go baseline. Doesn't want him to go over the top, but it's just a bad overplay. And you get right into the paint, boom, and a follow-up. No box out. Levine doing his thing. That's just going to be a question of whether or not Levine's going to be on tomorrow night. Really? But again, dribble penetration. Dribble penetration. Bad pass, Sabonis. Fast break, 4-on-1, dunk. Keon, or DeMar, excuse me, backing down. It's a great point. This is a very hard game to lose Malik Monk for because of the pick and roll. Little bit of fake pick and roll, DeMar to the hoop. But do you guys notice how everything's downhill? I keep saying downhill. The Kings got downhill in this game. Are they going to be able to do the same tomorrow night? Here's a pick and roll, Levine, Valanciunas. That's fine. I'm okay with that. But this is just too easy. This is way too easy. Look at this. It's a pick and roll. And look at DeMar right there to the middle. Again, pick and roll, no communication, lob. That's exactly where I wanted to stop it. So the reason I wanted to stop it there, and Mike asked this question, what about the bigs? Dallas has the ability to play above the rim. In fact, they like to play above the rim. And that's where my worry is at. Because the dribble penetration creates the opportunities to throw those lobs. So I'm looking at Devin Carter. I'm looking at Keon Ellis. Keon Ellis, in my opinion, needs to treat this one like he's whoever he's guarding. He needs to treat him like they're Steph Curry. It needs to be that type of respect. And I'm not saying that Keon doesn't bring it every night, but if the Kings do not play the dribble penetration and the pick and roll well, they're going to be in deep trouble. Deep trouble. Now, the wild card in all this is what is Dallas going to do in terms of running their offense? Are they running their offense through AD like the Lakers would do? If they're doing that, then maybe you don't have as much pressure on your perimeter guards. But if they're running pick and roll action with him, which I'm guessing they will do a healthy dose of, that is where the Kings are going to have to communicate. And that is where I think you are going to have big minutes between three players: Devin Carter, Keon Ellis, and Keegan Murray. Those three are going to play massive minutes because they have the ability to switch 1 through 5 in situations. So can they be effective? And the ball's got to move. The ball, quite frankly, cannot hold up for any prolonged period of time. So a lot to look at. That is just one game that I've kind of looked at, and I've watched it in full. I'm going to watch another one in full tonight. But what I would tell you is the dribble penetration. The dribble penetration has to be stopped by the Kings. If you don't stop it, then it's going to be lob city all night long. Because Gafford, Lively, Davis, they all play above the rim. They all play above the rim. All right. Any last minute thoughts? We got to get out at 3:30 today. It's a hard out. Hopefully we can see some TD and McBuckets off the bench. Rich, if you're saying like the Kings are up 40 and those guys are playing, I would not be surprised if Doug turns to McBuckets a little bit. And I'm quite frankly a little disappointed that nobody asked the question about his rotation, because you're probably, if I look at the rotation from last game, it's Trey, JV, Devin, and then in the second quarter, you did get some McBuckets. Who else did they put in? Yeah, Trey's going to be a big one too. So, and playing physical without fouling, you can't go into DeMar DeRozan basketball. Although this is kind of the time of year that DeMar DeRozan is made for with that type of offense. So, a lot still to talk about, and we still have a ton of coverage coming your way before this one. Jerry Reynolds will either be with me tomorrow on the King's Court at 2:00, or we're going to be doing our roundtable at 5 p.m. with Jerry and Grant. But before all that, you got Grant again tonight, 8:00. 8:00. Make sure you join him for Open Forum Tuesday night. Obviously, the basketball games will be going on. He'll be monitoring those and taking your questions, talking probably not much about Stockton. He's not a big G League guy, but talking whatever you want to talk about. So make sure you join him at 8 tonight. Looking forward to having him around. We aren't the same team like last year, who lost to the Pelicans. Yeah. No yeet for the Grizzlies tonight. Amen. No yeet. No yeet. You do not want the Grizzlies to win. I leave you with that. 3 things. Go Stockton.
Go Stockton!
Vivek, stop being the poop in our ice cream.
There's a bucket of poop and there's a bucket of ice cream. You can put all the ice cream in that poop that you want. It doesn't change it. But one little pinch of that poop in that ice cream ruins that ice cream. And I'll tell a guy, you, my man, are the poop in our ice cream.
And no yeet for the Grizzlies tonight. We cannot have a Grizzlies victory. So no yeet. We got to get the yeet up, and then we're out. So no yeet for the Grizzlies.
Yeet!
Oh, my bad. No
Yeet!
for the Grizzlies. So we've got a full day still coming at you tomorrow. You got Grant tonight. Thanks for being here. We will dive heavily into the numbers. Enjoy the play-in games tonight. Don't be the poop in our ice cream. And congratulations to everybody in Stockton, to the staff, the personnel, coaching staff, Gabe, GM, the players, Mace, TT. Hey, yo, TT. This is actually true. This is real. TT, I'm still waiting for my thank you, because if it wouldn't have been for me, you were about to run on the court in game 2 during an altercation. So does that get me? And by the way, yes, Gary Busey, he will be a part of Celebrity Row, but shouldn't that get me a Stockton Kings championship ring by default because I kept TT from running on the court? If you don't have TT for game 3, do they win that game? I don't know. I feel like I should be part of. I should get a ring, right? At least a thank you from TT. No, I'm just kidding. But I really did have to stop TT from running on the court. And I almost broke my arm because that dude's so powerful. So anyways, all right. Have a great rest of the day. Join Grant tonight, 8:00. He will be back. Go Kings. Light the beam. Appreciate every single one of you for being here. Sorry, I told you we had to be out at 3:30. We are. Courts dismissed.